Okay, guys, welcome back to another episode of Livewire. I am your host, Jerod Moore, and Livewire is the show where we take your questions from the chat. Today, we're going to be speaking with Mvskoke soprano Dr. Kirsten Kunkle, as well as Chickasaw composer Jerod Tate, about the upcoming premiere, and forgive me if I butcher the pronunciation of this, the upcoming premiere of Kokumfina, Our Grandmother. So thank you guys for joining us once again today.
Hello.
Chukma,
We're happy to be here.
Chokma.
We sound like we've done this before, Jay.
The three of us are just like, we're three peas in a pod.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's right.
So to speak. But no, I mean, how wonderful that we get to have repeats like this. This is really cool.
Yes, and it's great to keep everybody abreast of all of the happenings. And with that being said, let's talk about Mr. Tate. If you could tell us did I pronounce that right? Could you tell me the pronunciation of that?
Kokumfina, yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And so this story was very inspired by Maggie Boyett, who is a Shawnee dancer here in Oklahoma, and her grandmother, who she calls Coco. And Coco is it's a nickname for Kokumfina. It means your grandmother. So Kokumfina herself is the grandmother of all grandmothers, and was in Shawnee tradition was originally one that carried out the task of the orders of the Creator to make the world with the new Shawnee people. And so that's just a really beloved relationship that they have with Kokumfina. And so Coco is a endearing term for grandmothers. And so it was inspired from that. And so I talked to Maggie and her mom and her grandmother, all who are here to be able to witness that this is being premiered, and hopefully someday they'll hear the piece. But anyway, that's the inspiration of the work.
Okay.
And so what I did is I read up a little bit. I talked to the Boyetts about their impressions of Kokumfina. There's no real specific story. There are events that she had created and knowledge about her, that kind of thing. And so I kind of crafted a narrative in which the soprano, who is Kirsten, is Kokumfina explaining her feelings about her creation and her new people and how much she loves them. And it's a very joyous event, that this creation of the world. And so I just waxed poetically, basically. I just allowed myself to be very rhapsodic in my feelings and romanticism and my emotions, and create a script. And so then we had a tribal member translate the script for us, and so that's what Kirsten is going to be singing. So she'll be singing this work in the Shawnee language, and this will be a historic first.
Awesome. So, and is this, how would you classify this? Is it like an operetta, or what is it designated, the actual piece?
Well, it's really an aria, if you really think about it. It's not from an opera, so it's dramatic, but I guess the best way to call it is like an aria for soprano and orchestra.
I see.
Yeah, it's basically like the soprano concerto. They don't have vocal concertos quite in the same way that they do other instruments, but that's basically what it is. It's a 15-minute piece with orchestra and soprano.
Mm-hmm.
So, Dr. Kunkle, we've talked in the past about singing in the native language. Is this, refresh my memory, is this the first time for you with Shawnee, and how was that process like?
This may be the first time anyone sang classically in Shawnee. And I don't say that lightly. I think the things that we're doing, especially the work I'm doing with Jerod, is exceptionally groundbreaking. This is all brand new. And so, yes, it is very new to me. As you know, I've sung, of course, in Chickasaw and all of the 6 languages in the American Indian Symphony. A little bit Mvskoke, would like to do more. And then this will be indeed the first piece I've done in Shawnee. And it's been, I've thrown myself right into it. The translator sent this amazing 30-minute transcription of just the speech. And he'd do it fast and he'd do it slow and he'd break it down and then he'd do it fast again. And he really just spent the time. And I'm so glad he did. So here I am with my score, writing in International Phonetic Alphabet to what I'm hearing. Mm-hmm. And so when you would do this with French or Italian or German, anything you learn in the school systems, that already exists. This does not exist for our native tongues. And so, if somebody wants to do a great dissertation topic, they could pick a language and make sure that there's a process for learning the IPA, but it doesn't exist yet.
Mm-hmm.
Mark and I have done that with the American Indian Symphony, where we got together and we're like, do you hear this or do you hear this? And we did it back and forth for hours, because some of these things do not exist in what you would normally find in IPA. So it's really exciting. It's a lot of work, but it's really exciting.
Yeah, I would imagine.
And you know, one thing that's what I was going to mention is that that the Kirsten this year, with all the different languages, she is not so Shawnee. She's singing in Shawnee here, and then during the American Indian Symphony, she's sang in Chickasaw, Potawatomi, Wichita, Apache, Modoc, and Cheyenne. So those were the other 6 languages that she was singing, and then of course the opera Loxi Shali was all in Chickasaw. So Kirsten is really getting. I mean, it's really cool because she's kind of leading the way on all this, and so now hopefully people will be calling her for her insights about how she's doing language and everything. But this is really new study, and for our own native singers, it's like this is really cool. But I mean, I love this. I love that that we're at a time that we can do this. In honor of our ancestors. This is just really wonderful.
It's amazing.
These are wildest dreams that I never even considered when I was going through school. I never thought I'd get to sing in any tribal language, let alone Chickasaw, let alone my own. Mm-hmm. That was not even an option. And so this is truly just hopefully inspirational, but also just all new, groundbreaking things.
Yes.
And it's exciting.
And I want to remind you guys too, there's a link in the description of this video. If you want to buy tickets to this performance, it is at the Cleveland Museum of Art. Maybe we should talk a little bit about how
in
this...
addition to others.
Yeah.
I happen to have this picture of Jerod and me and our conductor, John McLaughlin Williams, right in front of me. I didn't plan this. It just happened to be there. But this has all the dates. It's October 16th through the 19th. There are 4 different venues in Cleveland. But if you go to the City Music Cleveland Orchestra website, you can find all the details.
Yes. And we should kind of talk a little bit about too, like why this venue and how it got placed here in that experience, like Mr. Tate or
Sure.
I was called by City Music Cleveland because they wanted to commission a new work from me. And so since Ohio is part of the old Shawnee homelands, and that's what I picked a tribe that was relevant to the area. And so also it's incredibly convenient that Kirsten lives in Sandusky. And so I told him, I said, yeah, we got a really good project here. We could have Kirsten sing the solo. And so they are also, Kirsten is also involved with some outreach concerts of my music as well so this is, and she just got done with one last night, isn't that right? Yep.
Yeah, Sunday, but yes.
Sunday, that's right. So, so this is part of it, just kind of both a community outreach and a 4-concert series which is really fantastic. So, and it's all based on this new commission. And then also Kirsten just recently performed Knoxville Summer of 1915 by Samuel Barber with Kennedy Center. And so I'd suggested that as repertoire as well. So she has 2 very big solos by 2 American composers. And John Williams is a conductor, a colleague of mine. He and I both went to the Cleveland Institute of Music at the same time. We're getting our graduate degrees. So I know him from a long time ago. So this is really quite, it's just a lot of things coming together. So anyway, but when I was approached by City Music Cleveland, I said I'd like to do a piece in Shawnee. And then I was talking to Maggie and just kind of getting those ideas. And then everything just kind of coalesced like this.
Awesome. So we should also talk about... is one of the standard things I always ask is this performance, or is there going to be a recording of this or anything anywhere that somebody could maybe grab on the internet or buy, or do you guys want to?
I certainly hope so. The plan, from what I've heard, is to at least have a good archival copy that will be available on YouTube on the City Music Cleveland page. That's what I've been told. Hopefully we get that. I told the executive director I would love to have a copy of this, but also of the Barber, because I don't have one that I can refer to. And that Barber piece it's truly incredible. And the reason I did it at the Kennedy Center is, again, because of Jerod. He was being honored by an orchestra, and that orchestra let him curate the concert, and he chose for me to do that, which it's one of my favorite pieces. So I'm so delighted to sing these both together. Luckily, I get an intermission in between to recover from one before the next.
Awesome. Well, it's so great to see you guys still forging ahead, at the spear point of this movement. And I think it's okay to call it a movement, right? Like this, like there's nobody else. I mean, some people maybe are doing this similar stuff, but seems to be a group of natives that are pushing the native language into these areas, and it's really great to see.
Very much. Very much. There's actually a really good handful of people doing this. There's many of our colleagues, our native colleagues, are involved in. It's really kind of a cloudburst of classical music from Indian country. And I mean that it's a lot of people that are coming up and doing all kinds of projects, and just there's so much going on, I can't keep track of it.
Yeah.
So we are part of this for sure, and it's really, really cool, and it's a real privilege to be a part of this community right now.
Absolutely.
One of the things I ask a lot too, but I'm going to go ahead and throw it in, is if there's somebody who's a native and they're younger and they want to get into the classical field or whatever, do you guys have suggestions for them? Where can they go? How could they get started?
Kirsten, go ahead.
Well, I think, first of all, just observing and seeing what's out there. Now that we are at this huge world where we can do so much online, it makes everything easier. When I was growing up, there were no native classical singers that I knew. They existed, but I didn't really know them. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't know they existed. Nowadays, you can click on the internet and you can find them. So I would say if there's somebody that they're interested in, see if they can crowdsource some money, get some lessons online or in person, and that would be the best place to start. Whether it's with somebody like us or whether it's with somebody in your community, it doesn't really matter. It's more about having that exposure in the first place. And also, if money becomes an issue, go to as much as you can. Mm-hmm. Go to concerts. There are free concerts all the time, and just start talking to people. Grow your community, and I think that people will start to see that one thing begets another, usually.
Just kind of spinning off what Kirsten's saying, one thing I think is really important is kind of a phrase is like, you must find your mentor or your mentors. And that was a really good advice given to me when I was younger. And fortunately, I had great mentors. And that's how I actually help Hiloha and my son, is finding him his mentors. Because when you find mentors, those mentors are the ones that make it happen. And what I mean is, like, for instance, if a kid can't afford lessons and they're talented, a mentor is going to invest in that kid. They're going to find out a way to do that. It will become affordable because you found your match in a teacher, and that's really, really critical. I was just involved with some of the honorings with Jacques Soto, who is our Navajo dancer, who was with the American Ballet Theater for 24 years. And he did the same thing. His parents found a teacher, and they drove him from the res down to Gallup on several times a week. That's a 2-hour drive each way, and they found their mentors, and how he got in. By the time he was 16, he was in New York City. And so because he found his mentors. And so that's one thing that's really important, is you got to find your mentors and work with them and do everything you can to make yourself available for them, because they will work for you. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And I think also if that is all just completely out of reach, if there's somebody watching this and they're just trying to get day by day, their poverty level, something like that, go to school, find a teacher, see if the teacher can help you find an instrument, find a theater class, find an art teacher, whatever your interest is, so that you can find somebody on whatever level you're at. So I think that that's really important, because we can give the best advice for if you have the means. But if you don't have the means, I think it's really important to know that you can still find your path.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. You can. Beethoven grew up in absolute poverty, and he found his teachers and just made it happen. And so a lot of it is very, very personally driven. But and at the end of the day, what Kirsten and I are really saying is you got to find your connections. You have to really, really just find people and connect with them, and that's a path. Paths are always through people. So we're both saying that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I would say that applies all the way through your career, no matter what your career is too. The reason Jerod and I work together so much is because we enjoy working together, and we've found these opportunities to work together. Sometimes they're presented to us. Oftentimes it's, how can we find the next opportunity? And I think, because we found each other and we have others in our circle that we enjoy working with, we're going to keep working with them, because it's for our own enjoyment and our own self-satisfaction, but it's also for the betterment of the entire Native American community. It really is.
Yeah.
And for the future, for our children and so forth.
Yeah. Well, I think it's all great advice that you guys gave there. And I want to encourage everybody, we need to give as much support as we can to these guys. I want to go for each of you, Mr. Tate first. What's next? What upcoming things do you have?
Oh, cool. Yes. Well, I'm working on another vocal work that's in the Chickasaw language, and this is with a colleague of mine with the Chickasaw Nation, Lokosh Hinson. He is the director of our language department for the tribe, and Lokosh has been creating poetry organically in Chickasaw. And so this is the first time for our tribe that this has happened. And so I am now composing works to his original Chickasaw poetry. And this will be the first time that happens. And so we're premiering a new work at Loyola University for chorus, strings, and percussion and harp. And so that's coming up in April. And then I've got a premiere of a work with the New York City Philharmonic. I was asked to be one of the orchestrators for a multi-movement work that's premiering in the summer in celebration of the 250th anniversary of the United States. And then also next summer, I'm premiering my new violin concerto with the Irina Murasanu. And so that will be my composition all through the winter and spring, is that violin concerto. And then after that, I've got another work that's coming up for the Big Ten College Association. And so there'll be 19 actually the Big Ten is actually 19. And so there's a work for wind ensemble that will be dedicated to American and American Indian vets, also in celebration of America's 250th birthday. So those are a few projects coming up. There's other things coming up as well, but those are the kind of like the big ones.
Dr. Kunkle?
Kirsten, am I missing something with you?
No, well,
Okay.
I'll mention the one thing that involves me. It's not for a little while. But yes, I didn't know about some of those. So that's really exciting. I always ask him and he's like, oh, I've got this. And it's like some huge thing like New York Philharmonic. And here comes those. Okay, just the New York Phil. But okay, so the next thing I've got going on is this coming week is for Indigenous Peoples Day. I will be back in Brattleboro, Vermont, where I just did the Ring Cycle. I'm working with Wyndham Philharmonic, and I'm bringing little Stephanie, and she and I are going to do Mvskoke Lullaby again. So
Awesome.
that will be the first time she gets to go to Vermont. So she's very excited about that. And then I'll be doing a couple of my pieces that I've written. I'm doing Reclaim the Land and Witch of November in the White City. And then I'll be whirlwind back to Cleveland, where we will be doing this piece, Kokumfina. And I will be absolutely exhausted come October 20th from having sung all that Barber and all that Tate. But I could not be more thrilled. And then after that, as you know, which I think we've discussed a little bit, there'll be the Good Medicine Music Festival, which Aaron Ward is starting in Houston. There will be Raven Chacon, Mark Billy, Keegan Ryan, me, and a few other people, like 3 or 4 other people. Big names. It's exciting. I'm going to be doing a lot of music for that. It started out as like 15 minutes and it's turned into more like 40.
Wow.
So it's over 2 days, and Stephanie's coming with me to that as well. And we will be singing Mvskoke Lullaby again. We have made this a little bit more exciting. I sing it, then she sings it, and then we sing it together. So every time we do it, we'll try to like add something, or maybe the rep will expand. I'm not sure. But it's exciting. Gosh, it's exciting to introduce her to all of this. And this will also be the first time she gets to meet Mvskoke children. Erin has some children, and of course she's Mvskoke, and I'm so excited that she will get to play with her daughter. Erin's making them matching earrings. I think it's just fantastic. So I'm really excited about that. After that, the other thing of interest really is that this is a big one. My company, Wilmington Concert Opera, is going to be doing a highlights concert of Loxi Shali.
Awesome.
So that will be during the Opera America Conference. So that hasn't officially been announced, although it was kind of soft announced. That will officially be announced on Indigenous Peoples Day coming up. But you guys get the inside scoop.
Oh,
early.
right.
So
Awesome.
with that, it will be the original principals -1, but Mark Billy's going to take on 2 of those roles, and then we will have 3 more Indigenous singers coming in to do some of the animals, and then 2 local singers doing the other 2. And they'll also be covering some of the bigger roles. And so we're going to do highlights from that. So we'll have Kate Morton, Mark Billy, Ugo Vera, me, and Did I leave somebody? Oh, and Nicole Van Every will all be coming in from the original cast.
Awesome.
So we're very excited about that. The Opera America Conference, it happens to be in Wilmington, Delaware this year. Opera Delaware is the host. And this is exactly the kind of thing we want to be put on the map for doing. So we're thrilled. I could not be more excited on a personal level. And Tian will be conducting as well. He's coming in to conduct. It's going to be piano only, but he will conduct us to make sure we're all together. And Lokosha is going to help with diction for the new people. And it's truly a community effort, just like everything always is. It's super exciting. And that's the other big one that Jerod did not mention. So yes.
Sorry. That's why I asked. It's like we're doing.
That's right. Well,
Yes.
I mean,
Yes,
I got to introduce it, so it
Yeah.
worked out beautifully.
Absolutely. And you guys too, I would mention, oh, sorry, hold on. I got to flip my.
Kirsten, what are the dates of that? Is that in May?
It is. It's May 14th and 16th.
Got it. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, absolutely.
And you guys, we're going to be doing a live wire on the Good Medicine Indigenous Festival on the 22nd of this month at 6 p.m. And Dr. Kunkle's going to join us for that, and Miss Ward too. So we'll be talking about that. So if you have questions about that, and that festival is in November, right? That's
It's in November. It's in Houston. There are 2 days of it. It'll be pretty exciting. Actually, Keegan and I are going to do one of Jared's pieces with a pianist as well. So Jerod won't be there physically, but he will very much be represented.
Awesome.
And I believe Mark's going to do a Lucy Shelley piece too. I'm not sure, but
Cool.
I think he might. So yeah.
Well, we'll be talking about that in depth on that live wire at the end of the month. So you guys interested in that, tune into that. But that is closer to our reservation and everything. So, you guys will have an opportunity to get in there and see some of these guys perform. And with that being said, I want to tell you guys, Badeau, for coming on the show yet again. It's been a pleasure as usual. You guys are always professional, and you're always doing completely new things that are redefining the whole genre and creating the genres, which is always awesome. And I wanted to thank you guys out there for tuning in, for joining us today. And next week on the 13th, which is Indigenous Peoples Day, at 6 p.m., we're going to have a live wire, and we're going to be talking about the book Beyond Blood Quantum. So we had done a story about this, a talk that was given at Tulsa University about this book. So you guys can go to our website and see some of the to get an idea what the book is about. But we're going to be taking your questions from the chat and everything. So if you guys are interested in that, tune in at 6 p.m. on the 13th. And with that being said, we're going to let everybody go, and we'll see you again. Mado, Hadum, Chihichat, Lees.
Chi Jathis.